Namaste, my name is Jyoti Dhaya and welcome to Learning with JD. Hi guys, welcome back to Learning with JD. So now that we know that we've been studying all the knowledge areas, and in the previous one we've completed the first knowledge area, that is integration. I know that logically speaking I should be doing the second one. So for better understanding we are taking up stakeholders next, which is important for you to understand from your examination perspective and for you to understand the flow as well. So we've done integration already, and in today's session we are going to talk about project stakeholder management. That is the 10th knowledge area for us from our PMBOK 6th edition perspective. Alright, so what are we going to cover today? We are going to see who our stakeholders are and how will we identify them. What is our plan to manage the stakeholder engagement? How are we going to do that? So that's also another important part we have to take care of. How do we execute the stakeholder engagement? So again, if you have understood the word execute, it is a part of execution. And how do we monitor stakeholder engagement? So let's just quickly have an overview of what the project stakeholder management is all about. Project stakeholder management includes the process required to A. Identify the people. So we've said who the stakeholders are for you. Stakeholders are anybody who is impacted by the project or who will impact your project. Both the kind of people are your stakeholders. So you need to be very sure and identify all the people, group or organization that could impact or be impacted by the project. That is the first key thing of identifying the stakeholder. Then you also need to analyze the expectation of the stakeholder and their impact on the project. How are they going to impact your project? You need to understand that, and to develop an appropriate management strategy. So it's very important. Managing people is not an easy task. You have to manage people with a very strategical approach, and that is what comes under project stakeholder management. Every project has stakeholders who are impacted or will be impacting your project. It can be both positively or negatively. Stakeholder satisfaction should be identified and managed as a project objective, because in case if your stakeholder expectation is not met, then your project may not be of a great success. At the time when you have completed the project, the stakeholder may just get up and say that no, I don't like the quality of the project, or it has gone over budget, or it has been out of scope. So you have to manage stakeholder satisfaction as a part of project objectives. Then let's see what are the trending and emerging practices under this knowledge area. Identifying all the stakeholders, not just a limited set. Now this is something that is an trending and emerging practice which is included as a part of project stakeholder. Ensuring that all the team members are involved in stakeholder engagement activities. What used to happen as a part of traditional work, only the project manager or only the sponsor or only some of the leads are the one who will be managing the stakeholder. Now things are not the same anymore. Today, each and every team member gets an equal opportunity to talk to any stakeholder and manage their engagement. So that is also a part of trending and emerging practices. Consulting with stakeholders who are most affected by the work or outcomes of the project through the concept of co-creation. So it is very important that you keep your stakeholders always involved in the project, always take feedback from them, always take their view on what is happening on the project. Very important. Capturing the value of effective stakeholder engagement, both positive as well as negative. So when you know that there is a stakeholder who is very positive about your project, what will you do? You will ensure that he is always involved in all the project meetings. You will ensure that he helps you, supports you in getting approvals and all that stuff. And person who is not very supportive, who has a negative impact on the project, or will be impacted negatively, you will ensure that you will manage their stakeholders' expectation as well, right? So these are the important components. Then the tailoring consideration. Why do you need tailoring consideration? We've been talking about this all the time because each project is unique. No two projects are same. All the projects are unique. Hence, you need tailoring consideration. Now, what are the factors that you take into consideration? Stakeholder diversity. Each stakeholder will be very different. The level of impact of that each stakeholder will be very different to your project. So you have to have different kind of expectation management for each stakeholder. You will not say that, okay, there is one way of communication and I will do only that one way of communication with all the stakeholders. No, you can't do that. Stakeholders need different and specific handling. Complexity of stakeholder relationship. Some stakeholders may be easy to handle, but some of them the relationship may be very complex. So you have to manage it accordingly. And communication technology. As we already said, for some of the stakeholders, you may want to send an email. For some of them, reports are important. For some of them, mass communication is required, social media communication is required. So for all of them, communication technology is something that plays a very important role. So these are the three key tailoring considerations that you need to take into consideration for project stakeholder management. Then consideration for agile and adaptive environment to facilitate timely, productive discussion and decision making. So three important things that you will again make sure here from an adaptive environment perspective are: adaptive teams engage with stakeholders directly. They will not wait for the lead to come and then talk to the stakeholder. They will not wait for the project manager to come and then talk to the stakeholder. The adaptive team will be very engaging with the stakeholder at every point of time. The client, the user, and the developer exchange information in a dynamic, co-creative process. It is not a very formal process required here. Even when you're doing your planning stage, the client and the user and the developer, initially that was not the case. Developer never used to speak to the client, but things have changed now. The client and the user and the developer have a very different environment and working. That is what is known as an agile or an adaptive environment. And regular interactions with the stakeholder. It will not happen that you will talk to the stakeholder only at the end of the phase or only at the end of the project. No. You will keep on regularly interacting with the stakeholder, informing them as what the progress of the project is happening. You will keep on the stakeholder involved in all these things. So this helps to mitigate risk, right? Because you are trying to create an environment in which the stakeholders believes you. An environment where the rejection from the stakeholder will be minimal, right? So it helps in building trust and supports adjustments earlier in the project cycle, thus reducing the cost and increasing the likelihood of success of the project. This is so obvious, right? When you keep a stakeholder involved, you will ensure that the trust is built. You will ensure that they support you in terms of any adjustments, and hence it will reduce any kind of cost. Yeah. Now let's see what are the four processes that we have under project stakeholder management. So we have one under all of them except the closing, because closing has just one. We've spoken about this in the previous video, that was project integration management. So we'll start with identifying the stakeholder. See, understand why we are taking this topic after integration, because immediately after developing your project charter, you now need to identify your stakeholders, which is a part of initiating. So we'll start with identifying stakeholders first. So identify stakeholder is a process of identifying project stakeholders regularly and analyzing and documenting relevant information regarding their interest, involvement, interdependencies, influence, and potential impact on project success. You have to make sure that all the stakeholders who are going to be impacted by the project, or who has interdependencies on your project, or whose interest and involvement is higher or lower, you have to identify all of them. At this point of time, are you doing anything with the stakeholders? No, you are just identifying the stakeholders right now. So identifying of the stakeholders is extremely important here. Yeah. Then let's see what are the inputs and outputs. We've spoken about input output in the previous sessions, and let's have a look at which inputs are required at identifying stakeholder stage. So you need the project charter. Why? Because the project charter identifies the key resources which are a part of the project charter which was made initially. But ideally speaking, the moment you create your project charter, you have to identify your stakeholder. That's a part of initiating, right? Just two processes we have. So hence project charter is your input in identifying the stakeholders. Then you need the business documents. Now what is a business document? A business document has two components: business case and business management plan. Business document is created as a part of pre-work which is done before the project work begins. And then you also need your project management plan. Now the most common question that you may ask me is that we are still in the initiating process. We have not yet started the planning of the project. So how do I prepare my project management plan? Understand that the entire process is an iterative process. The moment when you start creating your project management plan, there will be communication management plan which you have created, stakeholder engagement plan that you have created, and hence you need your identify stakeholder. So and hence you need these two documents at the time of identifying the stakeholder. Then you also need your project documents, your change logs, your issue logs, your requirement document. You need your agreements. Some of the documents that would be created as a part of the planning process group are agreement as well. The parties of an agreement are project stakeholder. Very important for you, right? Because all the people who are a part of the agreement also are part of your stakeholders. The agreement can contain reference to additional stakeholders also. You need your EEFs and the OPAs. EEFs because you need to know what is happening outside of the organization, what is the organization culture, what is the political climate and the governance framework. You need the OPAs because OPAs will tell you the formats, the stakeholder registry template and the instructions, lessons learned repository, etc. All these are a part of your OPAs. Now let's see what are the tools and techniques that you will use for identifying the stakeholder. Expert judgment. Experts get job everywhere. Experts should be considered from individuals or group with specialized knowledge or training. Data gathering, questionnaires and survey, brainstorming sessions. So these are just way of gathering all the information, right? If you read the word data gathering, you are gathering all the information. You are trying to capture information. So while you are identifying the stakeholder, you want to know who the key stakeholders are, and hence you gather the data. Then you do data analysis. So you got only the data now, that these are the people who are going to get impacted by the project or will impact your project. Now you want to do analysis on that. So when you do data analysis, stakeholder analysis, by identifying what their interest, rights, ownership, knowledge and contribution is. These are the top 5 important things that you need to understand while you're doing your stakeholder analysis. Then you do your document analysis, assessing the available project documentation and lessons learned from previous projects. From previous projects also you can come to know which is an individual or a group or an organization that can probably get impacted by your project. Then you will do data representation. So you've done data gathering, you've done some analysis on that, and now you do the representation. Representation typically means mapping of the stakeholders responsibilities, categories of the stakeholders, right? So power, what is the power of the stakeholder? His interest grid, what is the interest? Power and influence grid, impact and influence grid. These are all the ways of understanding what is the impact of the stakeholder. Grouping of the stakeholders according to the level of authority, interest, influence or ability to cause change to the project planning or execution. Very important, because you want to identify that which are the stakeholders who have more power, which are the stakeholders who will influence my project more. So grouping them by the way of power or interest or influence or ownership will be much more helpful for you to manage them. Yeah. Then stakeholder cube. model with multiple dimensions that improves the depiction of the stakeholder community as a multi-dimensional entity. Salient model classes of stakeholder basis on assessment of their power, urgency and legitimacy. Yeah. Then what are the other tools and techniques? Direction of influence. How much the project is going to get influenced by a particular stakeholder. Stakeholders are classified according to the influence of the work of a project. They can be classified as upward, senior management, who are the senior management, downward, your team, or outward, that is suppliers or government, or sideways, which is your peers. So these are the 4 ways of classifying your stakeholders. Prioritizing. Prioritizing stakeholders is utmost important for project with large number of stakeholders, where the number of stakeholders community is changing frequently. Yeah, so that's what is known as prioritizing. Then the next tool and technique is meeting. Meetings are what? Meetings are getting together, developing an understanding of the significant project stakeholders. They can take the form of facilitation workshops, small group guided discussion, or a virtual group using electronics or social media technologies to share ideas and analyze data. Yeah, so that's the way of identifying your stakeholder. What is it that you're going to get? What is the output of identifying the stakeholder? Very obvious. So now you know who your stakeholders are. Your stakeholder register. This document contains information about identified stakeholders, that is identification information, assessment information, and stakeholder classification. So you know you have identified the stakeholder. What is the level of influence of those stakeholders on your project? Their interest, their ownership, their power, all this is a part of the stakeholder register. And then you also may want to classify them. It is upward, downward, outward, or peers. Yeah, so that is all a part of stakeholder identification of stakeholder. Then you need change request. You may get change request as an output here as well, as stakeholder identification continues throughout the project. Why do you think the change request comes here? Because you need to do identification of stakeholder throughout the project. People may come, people may go, people may leave. You may find out new stakeholders at the middle of the project. You will keep on adding them. Hence a change request. New stakeholders or new information about the stakeholders may result in the change request to the product, project management plan, or project document. See, we are talking about all the 3 factors here. The stakeholder may also influence the product, the output product, or project management plan, or the project document. Yeah, so that's an output for you. Then your project management plan also gets updated, right? As the project progresses, any change to the project management plan goes through the organization's change control process via a change request. Updates to the requirement management plan, communication management plan, stakeholder engagement plan, risk management plan, that will all keep on happening as you identify new stakeholders. The project documentation update, there will be updates in assumption log, issue log, risk registers. New stakeholders come with new risk. New stakeholders come with new issues. So all these will be updated as a part of your identify stakeholder output. Then next comes the planning process group. For under planning, we have one process that is plan stakeholder engagement. Now we are going to see that how we are going to plan the stakeholder engagement. Plan stakeholder engagement is the process of developing approaches to involve project stakeholder based on their needs, expectation, interest, and potential impact on the project. Same thing as we spoke about during at the time of identifying the stakeholder. At that point of time you've identified. Now you're going to plan how you're going to do the engagement of these stakeholders. You know the list of the stakeholders ready with you. You have the stakeholder register. Now you're going to plan their engagement. Planning engagement means what? How are you going to keep them engaged with your project? So what are the inputs that you need? Obviously the project charter. Why? Because the project charter has the information of the stakeholders that are identified at the very beginning. Then you need the project management plan. All the subsidiary management plans are a part of the project management plan. So you need the project management plan, which includes resource management plan, communication management plan, risk management plan, etc. All these are a part of your project management plan. And you also need your project document. Project document has a lot of components. The most important one here is your stakeholder register. Along with that, you need your assumption logs, your change logs, issue log, your project schedule, risk register. All these are a part of your project document. And you also need the agreements. So when planning for the engagement of the contract and supplies, coordination usually involves working with the procurement and contracting group. So you need your agreements as well. Then you need your EEFs. We spoke about EEFs before also. You need to know what's your organizational culture. You need to know what is the political climate, the governance framework, geographical distribution of facilities and resources, etc. Yeah, all these are a part of your EEFs. Then you also need your OPAs. OPAs will give you all the templates. It will tell you about the social media, what are the policies for social media, the ethics and security, etc. Lessons learned repository. All this is a part of your OPAs. Now let's see what are the tools and techniques, T&T, that we often say as. What are the tools and techniques for handling your planned stakeholder engagement? Expert judgment. Do I need to explain this again? Experts are any individual or groups, and experts are often called for any specialized advice needed on any of the process group. Then data gathering. We've spoken about data gathering before as well. The result of the stakeholder analysis are compared with the information from other organizations and or other projects that are considered to be world class. That is what is known as data gathering. Then you also do your data analysis. So you've gathered the information, that is the data. Now you need to do analysis on that particular data. So assumption and constraint analysis, analysis of current assumptions and constraints may be conducted in order to tailor appropriate engagement strategies. Another way of doing analysis is root cause analysis. Identifies underlying reasons for the level of support of project stakeholder in order to select the appropriate strategy to improve their level of engagement. Yeah. Then the next tool and technique is decision making. Decision making techniques that can be used for this purpose include prioritization and ranking. You prioritize the list of stakeholders that you've already created to make a decision as to which stakeholder is more important, who you need to handle it properly, and on what level of degree does the stakeholder involvement require. Stakeholder requirement need to be prioritized and ranked, as do the stakeholders themselves. Needs to be done, right? Stakeholder with the most interest and the highest influence are often prioritized at the top of the list. Yeah, as we already said, if there's a stakeholder who's more has a higher interest on the project and has the higher influence on the project, that will be on your most important and the prioritize it at the list. Then data representation. You will either show it in the form of mind mapping or stakeholder engagement assessment matrix. Let me talk a little about the stakeholder engagement assessment matrix. Supports comparison between the current engagement level of the stakeholder and the desired engagement level required. So if you can see, there's a small table that shows about what the stakeholder engagement is all about. You talk about stakeholder, you list all the stakeholders, and then you talk about whether the stakeholder is unaware, he's resistant, he's neutral, supportive, or he's leading towards your project. So you have to take all these things into consideration. Then the next important tool and technique is meeting. Meetings are used to discuss and analyze the input data of the stakeholder engagement plan and to develop a sound stakeholder engagement plan. Stakeholder engagement plan is the output that you get from your planned stakeholder engagement process. You may get a 1-mark question here. Stakeholder engagement plan is an output of, so it is planned stakeholder engagement. Now, what does this contain? What does this document contain? The stakeholder engagement plan is a component of project management plan. So we know all the subsidiary management plans are a part of the project management plan that identifies the strategy and actions required to promote productive involvement of the stakeholder in decision making and execution. So you need to understand that what and how. So you know what the planning all talks about. How are you going to manage your risk? How you are going to manage your cost? How you're going to manage your scope? Similarly, how you're going to manage your stakeholder, or how you're going to keep your stakeholders involved. So you've identified your stakeholder as a part of initiating process group. As a part of planning process group, you've planned the stakeholder engagement. Now, as a part of executing, we are going to manage the stakeholder engagement. What do you mean by manage? We are going to ensure that whatever we have planned for whoever stakeholder we had identified for, we ensure that we do that. Yeah, that is what is the part of the executing, because your work is already begun now. So manage stakeholder engagement is the process of communicating. So now you are communicating, it is present tense, and working with stakeholders to meet their needs and expectation, address issues and foster appropriate stakeholder involvement. So that is what your work is at the time of executing process group, that is manage stakeholder engagement. Let's see what are the inputs and outputs and tools and techniques. So what do you need? Obviously, you need the project management plan, and the components that are a part of project management plan are communication management plan, risk management plan, stakeholder engagement plan. Stakeholder engagement we created in the previous process, right? Which is plan stakeholder engagement. And your change management plan. All the subsidiary management plans are a part of the project management plan. Then you also need the project document. Project document that can be considered are change log, issue log, lessons learned register and stakeholder register. Then you also need your EEFs, organizational culture, political climate, geographic distribution of facilities and resources. All these are important for you to understand and manage your stakeholder engagement. Then you also need your OPAs. All the formats and templates are a part of the OPAs. Yeah. Then the tools and techniques. So what are the tools and techniques? Expert should be considered as an individual or a group who has specialized knowledge. Then your communication skills. Now comes your work that you need to do at the time of execution. There are different ways of communication skills that you need to use at the time of managing the stakeholder. The methods of communication identified for each stakeholder. You remember we were doing this at the time of identify stakeholder and plan stakeholder engagement. We were ensuring and we were writing down, right? We were jotting down. How are we going to communicate? Now the time has come that when you actually have to communicate. So whatever method has been identified, you need to communicate to that stakeholder in that method. So in the communication management plan, as it was mentioned, so you need to apply that now, right? Feedback may be collected in the following ways. Conversations, you can do both informal, formal, issue identified and discussed, meetings, progress reporting, surveys. These are all ways of getting feedback from the stakeholder as to how satisfied they are with the project progress. Then interpersonal and team skills. Some of the interpersonal and team skills are conflict management. The project manager should ensure that conflicts are resolved in a timely manner. What do you mean by conflicts? Issues between anybody, right? Cultural awareness is used to help the project manager and team to communicate effectively by considering cultural differences and the requirement of the stakeholder. So it's very important. So it is very important that you know what the cultural awareness of that stakeholder is. Only then you will be able to effectively manage your communication with the stakeholder. Negotiation. Negotiation is used to achieve support or agreement that supports the work of the project. Yeah. Observation, conversations is used to stay in touch with the work and attitude of the project, team members and other stakeholders. And political awareness is a political awareness is achieved through understanding the power relationship within and around the project. So these are all the skills that the project manager should be aware about, and these are all the tools and techniques that they can use for managing a better stakeholder engagement. Ground rules. What do you mean by ground rules? Everybody has ground rules in their life, right? You have ground rules that you will eat dinner at a time. You have ground rules that you will reach office at a time, right? So ground rules defined in the team charter set the expected behavior for the project team members as well as for other stakeholders with regard to the stakeholder engagement. Now, for example, you as a project manager can create a ground rule that for all the meetings, the mobile has to be on silent. Also, for all the meetings, the agenda of the meeting has to be circulated a day before the meeting. So these are all a part of ground rules. Then you talk about meetings. Meetings are used to discuss and address any issues or concerns regarding the stakeholder engagement. Then what is the output of managed stakeholder engagement? The first and the most important output is change request. At the time of managing the stakeholder, there can be possibility that there are new stakeholders added, some of them has left, the level of power has changed, the level of authority has changed. So as a result of managing stakeholder engagement, changes to the project scope or product scope may emerge. All change requests are processed for review and disposition through the PICC process, that is Perform Integrated Change Control process, right, which is a part of integration which we did in the previous one. Yeah. The next output that you will get is project management plan updates. Your communication management plan, the stakeholder engagement plan, all these plans can get updated as a part you manage your stakeholder engagement. You also get your project document updates, your change log, your issue log, your lessons learned, etc. also gets updated as a part of manage stakeholder engagement. Then comes your last process group for project stakeholder management, that is a part of monitoring and controlling process group, that is monitor stakeholder engagement. So all these while that you have identified your stakeholder, you planned how you will do the engagement, you have done the engagement as well. Now the last and the important part is you also monitor that whatever you had planned for, has it been done that way or no. So monitor stakeholder engagement is the process of monitoring project stakeholder relationships and tailoring the strategies for engaging stakeholder through modification of engagement strategies and plan. If it is a large project going on for like 2 years, that is not the same way you will keep on communicating with the stakeholder. With times, things will change. So you need to, all that is a part of your monitor stakeholder engagement. Let's see what are the inputs that you need for monitor stakeholder engagement. You need the project management plan, because everything that needs to be done is a part of the project management plan. So the key 3 components of project management plan are the resource management plan, the communication management plan, and the stakeholder engagement plan. You also need your project document. The most important part of the project document that you need here is your stakeholder register and the change log. Things will keep on changing. You need your project communication also, you need your lessons learned register also, but your stakeholder register and the change log is the most important inputs here. Then you need your work performance data. We've done a topic on work performance data already. So you need to understand that what is the difference between work performance data, information and reports. Work performance data contains data of the on the project status, such as which stakeholder are supportive of the project and their level of type of engagement. So that is the part of work performance data. You need your EEFs as well, your organizational culture, the political climates, all these parts we've already discussed multiple times. And you may also need your OPAs for all the formats for managing the templates, the lessons learned, all these are a part of OPAs. So these are the inputs, these are the documents that you need for managing your, for monitoring your stakeholder engagement. Now what are the tools and techniques? Decision making. One of the tool and technique is voting. We've spoken about this in voting when we were in integration knowledge area. Now again we're talking about voting. The another one is multi-criteria decision making. Criteria for successful stakeholder engagement are prioritizing and weighing weighted to identify the most appropriate choice. So that is what is known as multi-criteria decision analysis. Data analysis is also a tool and technique that you may use for monitoring your stakeholder engagement. Some of the data analysis techniques are: alternative analysis can be used to evaluate options to respond to variance in a desired result of the stakeholder engagement. The next one is root cause analysis. A root cause analysis can be used to determine the basic underlying reason. What is the reason, right? So basic underlying reason that stakeholder engagement is not having the planned effect. What is the problem with the stakeholder? What went wrong that your stakeholder engagement is not happening as per the planned? And stakeholder analysis. The stakeholder analysis helps to identify the position of stakeholder groups and individuals at any particular time in the project. Then you will talk about data representation. A data representation technique used in this process includes stakeholder engagement assessment matrix. The stakeholder assessment engagement assessment matrix monitors stakeholder engagement through tracking changes in level of engagement for each stakeholder. So that is what is known as data representation. Then communication, feedback, very important to take feedback from the stakeholders, right? And presentations. Presentations provide clear information to the stakeholder. Then you also use your interpersonal and team skills. Active listening is also part of monitoring your stakeholders. Cultural awareness, leadership, networking, political awareness, all these are a part of monitoring your stakeholder engagement. Meetings, you will do meetings with your stakeholders from time to time. In agile environment, there are stand-up meetings that happen once a week or maybe every day depending upon the type of the project. So you will also be doing that. Yeah. Now let's see what is the output. Work performance information. Work performance information includes information about the status of the stakeholder engagement, such as the level of current project support and compared to desired level of engagement as defined in the stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, stakeholder cube, or other tools. So that is the work performance information that you get a part of the output of monitor stakeholder engagement. Change request. A change request may include corrective or preventive action that needs to be taken for the current level of stakeholder engagement. There can be something which is not going as per the plan, whatever you have planned for, so that there will be a corrective or a preventive measure that you need to take, right? Change requests are processed for review and disposition through the PICC process, that is perform integrated change control. Your PMP will get updated, your project management plan get updated, your project documents get updated. Let's see a summary as to what we've done today. Stakeholder may have a positive or a negative impact on your project output. Stakeholders should be identified at an early stage, although it happens throughout the project, but it is important to do it at an early stage. Regular communication with the stakeholder is the key. Stakeholders should be categorized based on their power and influence. Change requests should be raised as per the situation, as and when the situation arises. Got that? So guys, that is it from my end for today's session. I hope you liked the video. And in the next session, we are going to talk about project scope management. And you can view the previous video that we talked about project integration management. And do like, share and comment on this video, and I'll surely come back to you if you have any doubts. Meanwhile, do subscribe to my channel for never missing a notification. Click on the bell icon, and I will see you in the next session with project scope management. Till then, keep connecting, keep studying, and all the best.